Tell you, our system of justice, a person is innocent until proven guilty.
And shot him 4 times.
So this isn't racially motivated.
Which doesn't capture the actual event. Do we know whether she's credible? Do we know whether
we know this.
Shoot was a
Let
lie?
me ask you something.
And that Michael Brown was the aggressor.
Wow.
Mohammed Noor was an immigrant from Somalia. Is that a relevant fact? This guy had been on the force for 2 years. He had 3 complaints against him. Does that seem like a lot?
Yet another case of police brutality has sparked outrage across America after Minnesota police officer Mohammed Noor allegedly shot and killed Justine Damond, an unarmed woman who had apparently called 911 to report an assault. This latest killing means that more than 660 people have been killed by American police so far in 2017. 660 plus people in just 7 months. No other developed country in the world has 10% of that number. Now, according to reports, the details of this incident bear similar traits to the countless highly publicized police shootings over the past few years. For starters, it took place in Minnesota, the same state where Philando Castile was shot and killed last year. Although the victim in this example wasn't found to be carrying a weapon, she was nevertheless killed by a trigger-happy police officer. Also similar to many recent cases in the past, both officers conveniently at the same time had their cameras turned off. They also claim that the camera in their squad car failed to capture anything. But despite these similarities, there is one important difference about this case. There is a certain group, along with their most notable followers, who, despite being outspoken in the past in their support of officers accused of unjustified shootings,
Blue Lives Matter in America,
have had very little to say on this case. So I ask blatantly, where are Blue Lives Matter on this case? Where are those supporters who, despite overwhelming evidence in past incidents of police brutality and misconduct, always stood by the blue? Come on, what is different about this case? Why are they not defending this police officer's actions the way they defended Officer Yanez after he killed Philando Castile? Or Darren Wilson, the officer who shot Michael Brown? Or Officer Betty Shelby, who shot Terrence Crutcher? So what changed in this instance? After all, despite the footage, the past grievances, and the ruthless actions of officers in these cases, that was still not enough to convince Blue Lives Matter and its supporters to even question the officer's actions. Could it be because the officer involved in this incident is a Muslim and a Somali American, and as a result, his blue uniform is trumped by the color of his skin? Does his skin color and religion displace him from the ranks of police officers who must always be defended, evidence be damned? And here's the thing, before you twist my words, I don't want him defended. I want justice. I want his actions scrutinized, and if he's found guilty, I want him punished. I want officers held accountable for their shoot first, think later form of policing. The same way I wanted Officer Yanez to face consequences for killing Philando Castile, but instead, he was defended despite the obvious footage demonstrating his guilt and eventually found not guilty. The same way I wanted Betty Shelby condemned for killing Terrence Crutcher, again with footage, but she was found not guilty. These cases and countless others have been met with outrage from the general public, but also with support from defenders who feel officers deserve protection above all else. But not in this case, and I want to know why. Despite all the similarities to the unjust killings that have torn apart black families, the officer in this case has not been deemed worthy of the usual full-throated defense by the bluebackers who fought tooth and nail to persuade us all that Michael Brown was on drugs or that Philando Castile was reaching for a weapon. After all, details surrounding this incident are still murky, and yet none of the blue backers are questioning the victim's actions or wondering whether her compliance was in question. And as I said, I am against police brutality, regardless of the color of the perpetrators or the victim's skin. But I'm also sick to my stomach, man, of the excuses that are made for officers who in broad daylight ruthlessly kill black Americans and face no repercussions, only to then see the same idiots who defended such atrocities go silent when the officer involved does not fit their narrative. This incident was a tragedy, and as I have said on all of my many previous videos on police brutality, we need police reform and need to see the officers held accountable. But I will tell you this, the chances of Justine Damond's family seeing justice in this case are far higher than in many past cases, especially with no opposition from Blue Lives Matter. Follow me on Instagram at Francis M. Maxwell and on Twitter also at Francis M. Maxwell. Like and share the video. Continue to resist.